making the headlines. To join us, I am Osaogi Ogbonwa.
Welcome. Our guest today is a seasoned journalist, an experienced information manager, a resilient businessman, a member of the prestigious Nigerian Institute of Public Relations, and a philanthropist who currently serves as the Commissioner for Information in Delta State, a position he assumed after holding the fort as the Chief Press Secretary to the Delta State Governor for 4 years. Mr. Charles Anyago joins us for a one-on-one conversation to share his experience about surviving COVID-19 and his work as an image maker, especially in these unprecedented times. Thank you for joining us on the program.
Thank you very much, Felicity.
Tell us about the moment when you confirmed that you are COVID-19 positive.
Well, let me first give glory to God that I have survived the virus. But at the time I set out to take the test, it was not based on anybody's prompting. I had thought that as somebody who is in the front line of sensitization of Deltans on account of the dangers of COVID-19 and the necessary protocol that they need to observe, that it was incumbent on me to also lead by example, which was to take the test and let those who may have become so scared of the virus to understand that it's something that is not a death sentence, that you can show up for test, and then even if it turns out positive or negative, you can submit yourself for treatment and then observe the necessary protocols. And that even if it turns out negative, you're also able to let individuals understand. But it just turned out at the end of the day, that might turn out positive. And when that happened, I made myself available for the medical personnel to give their necessary advice, and first examined if I can afford to isolate at home, since mine was a little on the mild side. And having examined my house, they said, okay, yes. I told them I can afford to isolate at home and observe all those protocols of not allowing individuals to visit me, nor have to continue to move in the public space. And that was what happened. And my drugs was made available to me while they continued to call and sometimes also to come and check if my temperature or any other thing was in good shape. And I give God the glory that after about 17 days in isolation, I went back. Before then, I went back at the 16th day to have a retest. And at the end of the day, by the grace of God, it turned out negative. And so I had to return back to work.
Congratulations on that, really. It's not a death sentence, as we all know, but the one experience that people don't seem to talk a lot about is surviving isolation. The word itself inspires a little bit of fear. How did you manage through that period?
Well, for me, apart from those who self-isolate at home, I would have preferred that they continue to call it treatment center rather than isolation center. Of course, you know at the beginning, because coronavirus is novel, the moment you are suspected to have the virus, you are taken out of the society pending when your result is out and then before treatment begins. But these days, the moment you even show up for testing, you are encouraged, if you have the symptoms, to even immediately begin treatment. That was what happened in my own case, because just less than 24 hours after I subjected myself to test, I discovered that I have lost my sense of smell. And at that moment, I called the doctor, Dr. Mrs. Peace Iosewe, very, very wonderful. Is the CMD of Asaba Specialist Hospital. She was there through and through, and every call she answers, and sometimes she also called to check up how I was doing. And so I had to observe those protocols. But isolation is a sickness in its own, particularly for those of us who are always up and doing in the public space. For you to just stay alone in the morning, in the afternoon, mine could even be said to be better because at least I have a fairly large compound where I'm staying alone that you can always come down or move around within the compound. At least you are not interacting with any other person. But for those who may not have such facility, is quite difficult. And then when you are taken to a government facility, of course, your area of interaction is further contracted. So when that happens, you just need to begin to think of surviving and not the comfort of your home. Because at the moment you survive, you return to winning ways and join other persons. After all, there are those who are sentenced to prison for a number of years and they still cope. So the moment you are surviving and the sickness is not, you are not overwhelmed by the challenges of the sickness, you just have to give glory to God. But I think that as time goes on, the government, we need to begin to take a second look at what constitutes a treatment center, otherwise known as isolation center. What are the facilities put in place so that individuals are not feeling bad that they are just kept in one place.
All right, having experienced all of this, what worries you about the seeming skepticism that is still being expressed about the existence of COVID-19? We do know that there is a professor who has come out to boldly challenge the government to prove the existence of COVID-19.
There are two major factors that I think has contributed to the cynicism and prejudice that exists now in our own part of the world. One is that over the years, because of failure of subsequent government, our people have little or no faith in what government says, because over the years, government will promise you they are going to do this, and then you discover that it's not done. So whenever government says it's going to do something or that is what it is, the tendency for individuals and members of the society to doubt is quite high. Then the second is the fact that we are very religious people. And the moment our religious leaders give us a contrary view, the tendency to believe the religious leaders more than those in authority is also quite high. And unfortunately, in this part of the world, either because of pecuniary reason or some form of bigotry at the religious level, you have our religious leaders having to tell the public that no, there's nothing like coronavirus, that they should come to church, they should pray, that God will take it away. Forgetting that before now, there have been a lot of other infirmities, whether it's in form of polio. Polio became something small because the vaccine had been before now been discovered, and as such you are giving vaccine against polio. There are a number of other sicknesses that you take vaccine that were in existence before some of these religious persons came on board. The same thing it is with COVID-19. 20 years time, those that are born may not understand what we have gone through, and they will come to realize that possibly there's a vaccine, and they will say, okay, go and take vaccine against COVID-19. But those who are now saying coronavirus being the first kind of infirmity that is coming in our own time, and they're making individuals believe that there's nothing like that, that is not being fair. Our religious leaders need to understand that COVID-19 is no respecter of any religion, neither is it respecter of any tribe. They need to assist us